Hi everyone, I'm Monique and I'm delighted to be back sharing a new layout for you which I've guest designed for Ella Bonella using their lovely Lucky Me main kit, which is made up of lots of lovely goodies from Rosie's studio. Ella Bonella have a lovely monthly challenge which was to include colour, lines and circles, which I really enjoyed doing for this layout. So this is just a quick flick through what is included in the main kit. There are 8 lovely sheets of patterned paper from the Lucky Me collection by Rosie's studio, a set of enamel stickers, chipboard stickers, and some very glittery alphas, which I absolutely love. So first, I've taken this beautiful sheet of striped coloured patterned paper, which I absolutely love, and I've cut into it to make lots and lots of little strips. Now, this layout is a great one for using lots of scraps, and it would have been the perfect layout for the perfect idea for my last layout using this kit. However, I got the idea in my head and I just couldn't wait, so I had to cut into all these lovely beautiful sheets of pattern paper. I did use a little bit of all the pattern papers in the kit. So I started off with those colours from that one sheet of patterned paper, and I want to include some clouds in the background. So I've just made a little homemade stencil here. I've taken a scrap of 12 by 12 card there, and I've just drawn the outline of some puffy clouds, which I'm now cutting out. And in a moment, I'm just going to be taking some of my distress ink. I've used the squeezed lemonade color, which is my absolute favorite, and I'm just dabbing it on the background, and I do that over the whole sheet of background paper. I've used a sheet of Vicky Bouton's mixed media foundations paper because I am going to be adding a little bit of water to this background just to loosen up that ink a bit, to give a bit of a watercolored kind of melted cloud effect gently in the background. So you can see I'm just adding the clouds. I'm moving the stencil from side to side on the page. I've turned it around to get slightly different cloud shapes, and there's a close-up of the effects I've got. So I did make some of the clouds slightly darker, some softer, and here I am just coming in with that water and just trying to blend those clouds a little bit, like they're kind of melting into the sky. I wanted to go for yellow clouds, which is possibly an odd choice because clouds aren't usually yellow, but I really wanted this layout to feel nice and sunny, and to me, sunny things are yellow, and yellow just makes me happy, so that's the colour I went for. And there's a close-up showing you those kind of melting clouds, and I really love how that works out. It's really quite a subtle effect, which isn't hugely noticeable in the background, but I do quite like it. So I've got this lovely liquid watercolour that's really beautifully shimmery, and I'm just going around and splattering that on just for a little bit of extra detail. Now, I'm far too impatient to wait for these liquid watercolors to dry, so I've taken a roll of toilet paper, which I've just gently rolled over the wet splatters, and it just picks up the excess liquid, and it really has not made much impact to the color of that liquid watercolor. The colors are so intense, so they really are beautiful. So now I've just got my audiobook set there, which is being used as my stencil to get that circle in a nice even shape, and I'm distressing the edges of all those lovely colourful sunbeams. Now in a moment I'm going to take 6 of the pattern papers in the kit and going to be trimming off a thin strip, which I'm going to be using to add to those sun rays. I just decided I wanted to add a little bit of extra visual texture, and these beautiful pattern papers from the Lucky Me main kit will be perfect just to add a little bit of extra interest. So as you can see, I'm not being too particular about how long those strips are. I'm really just kind of being a bit random about it. I don't want it to look perfect. I like the idea of the imperfection of those sun rays. So some are longer, some are shorter, and I do love how that looks. I'm going to go ahead and distress all of those in a moment. I'm just kind of partnering them up with their counterpart solid color, and I'm pairing them up together. And here I'm just sticking them in pairs and then putting them back in place in rainbow order, of course. I love how colors just work so beautifully together when they're in rainbow order. There's just something about that sequence that just is so pleasing to the eye for me, and it just makes me happy looking at it. So I will always put things in rainbow sequence order if I can, because I just love how the colors just flow into each other naturally and just work so harmoniously together. Once I've got all those stuck down in place, I'm just going to take some lovely soft yellow thread and stitch around that circle just for a little bit of extra texture. So I've gone around twice, and again, I've not been too worried about it being perfect. And I just wanted to ruffle up those edges a little bit more for a little bit more dimension and texture. So I've gone around each of those sunbeams and just slightly raised one side of them. Now I've got these sweet little photos of my twins and their first smiles from a number of years ago, and I've just cut them out in circles. Now the one photo has the word smile on it already. I edited it in an app and long ago when they were this little, and included the word smile, and I can't actually find the original image, so I've had to use the collage image that I used, so it's got that word on it. So I do end up covering it up, even though it's perfect for this layout. It just didn't quite work with how everything turned out in the end. So what I've done is I've taken this lovely white grid patterned paper that's got some sweet little coloured hearts on, and on the reverse of the pattern paper, I've just drawn some lovely fluffy clouds and cut them out and just stressed the edges. And I'm going to do a few of those and just dot them around those photos, kind of like they gently nestled in those clouds. And I really do love those lovely white clouds contrasted against the beautiful bright sunbeams and colourful background.
I was lost or I was found, nothing ever in between, shedding tears or extremely happy.
I felt like those clouds just needed a little bit of something to help them stand out a bit more. I felt when they laid on top of each other, they just kind of blend into each other a little bit. So I took this lovely shade of distress ink, it's called Shaded Lilac, and just kind of inked the edges, and that added the perfect touch to those clouds just to make them stand out just a little bit more. And I'm much happier with how that looks now. So I've done that with each of them, and I play with that cloud at the top for a little bit before deciding where it's to go. But before I'm certain, I decide to stick down those photos. So I use some craft foam just on the back, just to get them stuck down and just to raise them up a little bit to give a little bit of extra dimension and to raise them above those lovely colourful sunbeams. I had a single layer of craft foam behind the smaller photo, but a double layer behind the larger photo, just so that they can be on slightly different levels. I also added a little bit of craft foam behind all of the clouds just to raise them up as well. Now I fiddled with that fourth cloud for ages before finally deciding where I want it, and I eventually decide it needs to be with the other clouds. So they're all happy together there in a little cluster, and now I'm moving on to my title. So the Lucky Me main kit includes these gorgeous rainbow glittery alphas from Rosie Studio, and they're perfect for highlighting the word smile in my title. So I really wanted the word smile to stand out because this layout is documenting my twins' first smile. So I opted to use the lovely glitter alphas just for that, and then stamp the words "You Make My Heart" using again that lovely shaded lilac distress ink. So I feel that those two work quite nicely together. Now I've grabbed some of the lovely enamel circle stickers and hearts from the kit, and the sentiments on them are just so perfect for a first smile layout. I think one says "You make me happy" or "You make me smile," and they just work beautifully. And then I come to this lovely floral paper, which I wasn't going to use, but I just decided that I needed to add a little bit of something extra. I needed some florals. So that paper just screams fussy cutting to me. So I cut it apart, and I just love all the colors of those flowers. And I feel they just add the perfect finishing touch to that cluster of photos and little clouds, and they work so nicely together. You can see I've also added a little chipboard rainbow there, just stuck on top of those clouds at the top there, and again it just kind of brings all those colors together. Once I'm happy with the placement of all those flowers, I get hold of my silicone glue and just start to stick everything down. I love using silicone glue, as I've mentioned so many times before, because it just adds a little bit of extra dimension by allowing you to be able to tilt your ephemera nicely, just to add some different angles to your layout. So I love it for that, and it's really, really easy to use. When I first started scrapbooking, I wasn't so keen on using wet adhesive because I was too unsure of where I was placing things, but I definitely feel a lot more confident about it now. However, I do a lot of putting on and taking off before I'm finally decided. So here I've got some lovely Nouveau Glimmer paste. The color is Moonstone, and I just love using it to add a little bit of extra shimmer. So I've added a little bit to the clouds, and it really just sparkles so beautifully. I'm going to show you some close-ups at the end, and you'll see all that shimmer. So now for me, a layout is never quite complete unless I've added some extra sparkle with some sequins. So I've just got some lovely translucent yellow ones in various sizes, which I'm just dotting around that cluster and then just sticking them all down. In a moment, I'm going to come in with some Stickles Iridescent Glitter, which I'm just going to add to the center of all those florals as well, and that just helps tie in with those sparkly clouds, and I feel just gives the perfect finishing touch. In a moment, I'm going to show you lots of lovely close-ups. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you've enjoyed this video, I'd be so grateful if you subscribe to my channel. You can also find me on Instagram at Handmade Happy by Monique. I'm going to be creating 3 more fun layouts with this lovely kit from Ella Bonella. I'm going to link everything up in the comments. If you'd like to join along with me, do pop along and grab yourself a kit so that we can create together. Please feel free to drop me a comment below. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time. Bye!